What if wealth is not a shout but a whisper, not a lottery ticket, but a language that your life has already begun to speak in small, faithful syllables? Perhaps you felt the ache of working hard and still feeling behind, the heaviness in the chest when the month outpaces the money, the quiet fear that you might be missing something everyone else was given at birth. I see that weight. I recognize its shape. And I want you to breathe slowly, because the path to true prosperity does not begin with noise or speed. It begins with alignment, wisdom shaping your choices, choices shaping your habits, and habits shaping your future. Imagine your inner life as a house at dawn. The lights are off, the city is still, and you move through the rooms listening more than speaking. You touch the frame of the door and feel how solid it is. You open the window and let cool air remind your nervous system that safety is possible, that anxiety does not have to drive the car today. In this quiet, your attention becomes capital. Where your attention flows, your energy follows. Where your energy settles, your actions repeat. And what you repeat, you eventually become. This is not magic. This is the way a life accrues interest. There is a wisdom older than hurry that teaches sequence over spectacle. Wisdom before wealth, roots before fruit. You sense it when you keep a small promise to yourself and your body softens, when you delay a purchase and feel dignity return to your spine, when you choose measured words and a room relaxes because you refuse to add gasoline to a fragile moment. These are not grand gestures, yet they are not small. They are foundations. In the brain, patterns wire together because they fire together, and the heart follows the shape of repeated choices like a river carving its bed. Little by little is not a consolation prize. It is a design. You have been told that wealth belongs to the loud, the lucky, the reckless. But in the Counsel of Ancient Kings, prosperity belongs to the diligent, the discerning, the one who can be trusted with little and therefore can be trusted with much. Consider how different this feels in your body. The story of luck spikes adrenaline and then leaves you empty. The story of wisdom steadies your breath and widens your field of vision. Your shoulders drop, your jaw unclenches. You remember that sustainable abundance flows through character, through stewardship, through time. Notice the places where shame tries to speak. It says you've wasted years, you've missed your chance, you don't have what it takes. Shame is loud and impatient. It pretends to tell you the truth, but only rehearses your fears. Let another voice sit beside it. A patient royal voice that values the slow acquisition of skill, the cultivation of a good name, the building of trust, like a craftsman who returns each day to his bench. When that voice speaks, you feel the difference in your nervous system. Less static, more signal. Less frenzy, more clarity. This is spiritual, yes, and it is also practical neuroscience. When you choose aligned routines, you reduce cognitive friction, lower the noise in your threat circuits, and create the conditions in which disciplined action becomes easier to repeat. Look closely at the moments that already reveal your future. The evening you said no to an impulse and yes to a plan. The morning you sat down to the work no one sees and did it with excellence. The conversation you navigated with restraint and respect, even when you could have won the argument and lost yourself. Each of these choices is a seed, and seeds don't shout, they root. The harvest is not promised to the loudest farmer, but to the one who sows and tends, who prunes and waits, who resists panic in the dry season because he knows the weather is not the measure of the soil. Your desire to prosper is not greed. It is a longing to become a wise steward, to build something that can be trusted, to bless others without calculation. Even your fear contains a clue. You are afraid because you care. Let the fear become fuel for clarity rather than fodder for paralysis. Ask your mind to slow down enough to choose the next faithful action. Ask your heart to soften enough to hear the counsel that keeps you safe. Ask your body to remember what steady feels like. Shoulders back, breath steady, gaze level, because posture is a promise you make to the future. There is an old observation: the person who loves wisdom will eventually find prosperity standing at their door, not as an accident, but as a consequence. Prosperity here is not a flash of cash. It is a life that works, a name that opens doors, a reputation that travels further than you do. When people can predict your integrity, opportunities arrive unannounced. When your attention is guarded, your output compounds. When your learning outpaces your earning, engines begin turning in the background of your life. You do not need to force what faithful systems can carry. So before anything else, place your hand over your chest and feel the rhythm of your own heart. There is time. There is wisdom available. There is a way to move through this year that honors your values, calms your nervous system, and quietly prepares your table. Wealth is not a stranger to you. It recognizes a household built with order. The world shouts about shortcuts. Wisdom whispers about sequences. Let the whisper lead. And as we begin, bring with you the questions that matter. What do I truly value when no one is watching? What am I building that will still stand when the noise dies down? Where is my attention going, and what return is it giving me? Who speaks into my decisions with courage and care? How can my generosity train my heart to handle more? Let these questions soften the ground. Let them become the gentle pressure that directs your steps. You do not have to rush. You only have to move in the right order again and again until your life speaks the language of wealth fluently, without strain, like a native tongue you finally remember. There is a quiet strength that settles into a person who chooses truth when no one is watching. It feels like standing on stone instead of sand, like breathing fully after a long climb. In a world addicted to appearances, you become the rare presence that is the same in shadow and in sunlight. Ancient wisdom values a good name more than a chest of coins, because money can open doors only once, but a trusted name keeps them open. When people can predict your honesty, they relax in your presence, and their nervous systems loosen their grip. Calm spreads. Work flows. Opportunities begin to travel toward you by paths that never show up on public boards or loud advertisements. This is not performance, it is alignment. Your outer life matches your inner life, and your decisions do not need a spotlight to be steady. Integrity is not a show of perfection. It is the daily, humble choice to be faithful in small hinges that swing big doors. Return what is not yours. Keep what you promised. Clean up a mistake before anyone asks. The body knows the difference. When integrity leads, your chest softens, your shoulders lower, your breath finds a rhythm that is almost musical. When image leads, the body tightens, the jaw sets, the mind scans the room for approval and rehearses lines in case the mask slips. Wealth struggles to root in soil that keeps shifting, but it loves ground that is tended with patience and truth. In such ground, trust becomes compounding interest. One good decision introduces the next. One clean conversation earns another. Soon your name begins to carry a quiet gravity. People describe you with simple words, words like reliable and fair and steady, and those words are worth more than any branding you could buy. There is a connection between integrity and clear thinking that feels almost sacred. The brain reduces noise when it does not have to manage the stress of pretending. Decision fatigue lightens. You sense danger sooner because your mind is not distracted by how to look successful. It is focused on being faithful, and faithfulness has a sound, the sound of footfalls returning to the same path every day, choosing what is right even when it is slow. The fruit of that rhythm is not merely a full bank account. It is a life that works. It is a reputation that travels further than you do. It is the relief of knowing that your success does not depend on secret corners, but on foundations anyone can examine. In time, money treats such a person like a safe harbor. It stays, it grows, it invites more of its kind. Delay, before display. There is a tenderness in the pause that separates desire from decision. Inside that pause, the heart and the mind learn to talk to each other. The first rush of wanting fades to a quieter voice that asks whether this purchase truly serves the future you or only feeds the momentary hunger to be seen. When you grant yourself space, even a handful of days, something changes. The bright shine of the new object dulls a little, and your sense of dignity brightens. You feel taller in your own story, as if choosing to wait returned a small piece of your crown. The body notices the difference. Impulse spikes the pulse. Patience steadies it. This is not about punishment. It is about remembering that money is a servant and not a master, and that servants should be trained before they are trusted with the keys. Solomon's world favors the rhythm of little by little. The vineyard grows through seasons, not through streaks. The house is built brick upon brick, not through a weekend of excitement. In the same way, wealth emerges when your first instinct after increase is to ask how these resources can strengthen roots rather than decorate branches. You sense this wisdom when you direct new income toward tools that make your work better, skills that make your mind sharper, systems that save your hours and reduce friction. The glow of a new status symbol fades in weeks. The quiet power of a good tool or a learned skill continues to pay you in time, in confidence, in options that widen the path ahead. Emotional neuroscience gives language to what your spirit already knows. Impulse comes fast from the survival centers that crave quick relief. Clarity rises slower from the thoughtful centers that weigh long-term outcomes. When you allow time to pass between wanting and buying, your thoughtful centers have room to speak. The message they bring is gentle and strong. Choose what multiplies. Choose what remains useful after the thrill is gone. Choose what makes you more capable, more generous, more free. This is not a list of rules. It is a posture that turns your life into fertile ground, where money becomes a means and not a measure of worth. There will be moments when others flash their new trophies while your choices look plain. Let the plainness be your teacher. Quiet tools do not need applause. Well-chosen investments do not raise their voice. They sit under the floorboards of your life and carry weight without demanding attention. Months later, sometimes years later, you notice how steady you feel, how options appear that once seemed out of reach, how emergencies shrink because you prepared in silence. You do not chase the look of wealth because you are building the life that can hold it. The display will come in its own time, not as noise, but as evidence that you honored sequence and refused to sell tomorrow for the thrill of today. Mindset and character open the first gate. Integrity makes the ground solid. Delay protects the seed. Together, they create an atmosphere where prosperity can breathe. As this chapter closes, notice how your body responds to these truths. The steadiness, the slowing of the breath, the widening of vision. These are early signs that you are moving in the right order. The next pillars will add strength and structure, but without this foundation, even the finest plan will wobble. With it, everything you build can stand. Sounds like footsteps returning to the same path each day. The world celebrates the sprint and forgets the finish, but wealth remembers the finisher, the one who treats ordinary hours as sacred ground. In that ground, small tasks become trusted rituals, and trusted rituals become quiet engines. The body knows the difference between drama and discipline. Drama spikes the pulse and exhausts the mind. Discipline steadies the breath and frees attention for the work that actually moves the needle. Ancient wisdom calls this the diligent hand, not the frantic hand, not the distracted hand, the hand that shows up. When this way of living takes root, the soul feels less scattered, the gaze lands more easily on what matters, and the work begins to compound in ways that surprise even the one who stays faithful. Consistency may feel unglamorous in the moment, yet it becomes beautiful in the results it produces. The musician tuning before dawn, the craftsperson sanding the same edge until it is true, the analyst reviewing one more line until the numbers sing. Each portrait tells the same story. Repetition, when it is aligned with purpose, refines the self. Neural pathways strengthen where honesty and effort meet, and the brain learns to enter depth faster and stay there longer. That state of deep work is not an accident. It is a cultivated field, cleared of thorns, watered by time, warmed by focus. In that state, a person stops chasing motivation and begins to rely on structure. And structure is kinder than adrenaline. Structure carries the day when feelings fluctuate. Structure makes tomorrow easier than today. Quiet diligence also changes reputation. Others sense reliability without being told. They lean on the person who finishes, not because of slogans, but because of evidence. The room relaxes when this person enters, not because of volume, but because of presence. Doors open in places where reliability is rare, and rewards arrive that were never posted on a screen. In time, the diligent hand gathers not only income, but influence. The influence is subtle and deep. It is the authority of someone whose words are backed by hundreds of uncelebrated hours, by many small completions, by a name that has been tested and found faithful. You budget your attention, not just money. Where attention rests, life drifts. Where attention is guarded, life grows. Many accounts exist, and only one cannot be refilled. Once an hour is spent, it is gone. Those who prosper understand this in their bones. They begin to treat attention as the first currency, and money as the currency that follows. The nervous system confirms the truth. Scattered inputs keep the body in a subtle alarm, the kind that tires without obvious cause. Curated inputs, fewer and truer, bring a calm brightness, like early sunlight through clean glass. In that brightness, thinking clears, priorities take their rightful place, and work that once felt heavy begins to glide. Budgeting attention is not asceticism, it is design. The mind that once swallowed a stream of noise begins to sip what nourishes and refuse what numbs. Notifications that once yanked the hand now wait in line. Rooms that once demanded multitasking become single purpose. Conversations that once wandered into gossip now settle into clarity. This shift feels spiritual because it honors the soul, and it feels scientific because it honors the brain. The prefrontal regions that plan and reason thrive in quieter conditions, and the deeper threat centers quiet when the world stops shouting. From that union of calm and clarity, better choices rise almost naturally. The day stops being a reaction and becomes a craft. There is a kind of wealth that grows in silence, the wealth of finished projects, of work done with care, of energy kept for what matters most. People notice. They may not name it, but they sense the difference. They sense that this life is not being pulled by 1,000 strings. It is being guided by a few true lines. This guidance shows up in simple ways. Meetings end with decisions instead of delays. Mornings begin with intention instead of panic. Evenings close with the clean tiredness of a day that went where it was meant to go. Money responds to this order. It gravitates to schedules that honor it. It multiplies in systems that protect it. It stays in hands that first protect their focus, because focus is the workshop where value is built. Diligence and discipline move together like two strong oxen pulling one plow. One brings steady strength, the other brings steady direction. Together, they carve straight lines in a field that once felt chaotic. The result is not merely productivity. The result is a life that wastes less of itself. A life like this begins to feel different from the inside. Breathing slows, sleep deepens, decisions simplify. The next chapters will add counsel and community, stewardship and generosity, yet this pillar gives them a frame. With diligence that returns and attention that holds, the house gains its beams, and the future begins to look less like a wish and more like a structure that can bear the weight of abundance. There is a certain relief that settles in the body when you are not the only mind carrying the weight of a decision. The breath softens, the shoulders ease. Pressure becomes perspective. Ancient voices call this safety in a multitude of wise companions. Not a crowd that shouts opinions, but a small circle whose lives are evidence. When you share the shape of a choice with people who see further than you, something shifts inside. The heat of urgency cools. Options appear that panic had hidden. The decision that once looked like a cliff becomes a set of steps you can actually descend. True counsel is not flattery, and it is not control. It is the gift of unhurried clarity from people who have paid the price to see clearly. Their words are seasoned by time and testing. They value your future more than your feelings in the moment. You can recognize them by the way your nervous system responds. Around the wrong voices you feel hurried, defensive, a little smaller. Around the right voices you feel grounded, alert, more honest with yourself. They do not make the choice for you. They widen your field of vision until your own judgment wakes up and stands on its feet. Seeking counsel before commitment also protects your name. Every major decision carries cracks you cannot see from your angle. Pride turns those cracks into fractures. Humility turns them into adjustments. The humble ask questions that feel simple and therefore powerful. What am I not seeing? Where could this fail? What would the long-term consequences be if today's excitement fades? As these questions surface, the brain's threat systems quiet and the thoughtful regions engage. The result is not timidity. The result is courage that is properly informed. And wealth prefers courage like this, steady and precise, the kind that honors risk without bowing to it. You learn faster than you earn. There is a different kind of hunger that marks people who will carry abundance well. It is a hunger for understanding. They are more excited by a new skill than a new status. They feel richer after a day of learning than after a day of spending. This hunger creates a quiet reversal. Money stops being the main prize and becomes a byproduct of mastery. Time stops being a blur and becomes a classroom. Problems stop feeling like insults and start feeling like invitations to upgrade the way you think. Learning first is not a slogan. It is a nervous system strategy. When you invest attention and resources into knowledge and tools, you reduce friction in the places where your days often snag. The prefrontal regions that plan and focus love this. They reward you with clearer thinking and cleaner execution. You become faster in ways that do not rush you. You become more exact in ways that do not harden you. You enter that rare zone where your work feels like play because your competence is finally catching up to your desire. This path carries a quiet compounding effect. Each new understanding makes the next one easier to grasp. Each new tool turns hours of struggle into minutes of flow. Over time, you build systems that carry weight without complaint. The world may not notice the shift at first because there is nothing loud about it, but your results begin to gather a certain density. Conversations change. Doors open that stayed closed when you were only chasing outcomes instead of building capacity. The money that arrives in such a life tends to stay because it finds itself in a house designed to host it. A house where wisdom sets the table and learning keeps the fire warm. Wisdom and counsel teach you to move with a steadier step. You are no longer pulled by urgency or seduced by speed. You are guided by a circle that tells you the truth and by a mind that keeps reaching for deeper understanding. This is not just spiritual. It is profoundly practical. It reduces costly mistakes. It increases the quality of your choices. It builds a name people trust. With this pillar in place, your journey into prosperity becomes less of a chase and more of a pilgrimage, guided by voices that care for your future and fueled by a learning heart that refuses to stop growing. There is a current that moves between people who keep their word, a gentle electricity that brightens the room without anyone raising their voice. It feels like a long exhale after a tense day. It feels like walking into a house that always smells like fresh bread. Trust has a texture you can sense in your body. The breath slows, the shoulders lower. Conversation loosens its grip on performance and turns toward genuine exchange. In this atmosphere, opportunity travels quietly along human lines, from name to name, from favor to favor. No billboard announces it, no algorithm can manufacture it. It grows where reliability is proven and care is remembered. A trusted name becomes a bridge that others cross without fear. People pass introductions across that bridge, and they do it with relief. Here is someone who will protect a confidence. Here is someone who honors the small print as much as the headline. Here is someone who treats a partner's reputation as if it were their own. The brain notices patterns like this and rewards them. Stress hormones settle, oxytocin rises, coherence returns to the conversation. Work flows with fewer frictions because the hidden tax of suspicion is removed. In time, this kind of presence gathers a network that is not collected but cultivated, not tall but deep, not loud but durable. There is a quiet arithmetic at work in such networks. One timely encouragement can move a project forward by weeks. One thoughtful connection can turn a stalled idea into a moving engine. One steady response during a hard moment can change the direction of a career. Generosity here is not a performance. It is a way of seeing the world as an orchard rather than a market, a place where fruit increases when roots intertwine. The return is subtle at first. Fewer misunderstandings, smoother negotiations, invitations that arrive without fanfare. Then it becomes unmistakable. Your name is spoken in rooms you have not entered yet, and those rooms open when you arrive because someone you once served without calculation has prepared a seat. You master measured speech. Words carry weight. Some build beams that hold a house. Some pull nails until the roof sags. The person who will carry wealth well learns to feel the difference in the mouth and in the chest. Rash speech tightens the body and quickens the pulse. Measured speech softens the jaw and clears the gaze. Silence becomes a companion rather than an enemy. A brief pause allows truth to gather its strength and kindness to choose its tone. In that pause, the mind's wiser centers take the wheel, and conversations that might have spiraled into heat bend toward light. Measured speech is not timid, it is precise. It refuses exaggeration because it understands how fragile trust can be. It resists gossip because it values the invisible fabric that holds communities together. It chooses clarity over cleverness, listening long enough to understand the true question under the question. The effect on the nervous system is real. Rooms calm down, meetings reach conclusions, agreements feel clean, people feel seen instead of managed. Over time, this reputation for careful words becomes a form of currency that spends in any economy. A single sentence from a trusted voice can secure a partnership that 100 flashy pitches could not. There is also mercy in measured speech. Hard truths arrive in a way that a heart can bear. Boundaries sound like respect rather than rejection. Apologies are offered before resentment hardens into stone. The result is not perfection. The result is repair, and repair is the sign of maturity that money recognizes. Clients return because they remember being treated fairly when things went wrong. Colleagues refer with confidence because they remember leaving past conversations with their dignity intact. Your voice begins to carry a quiet authority, not because it dominates, but because it heals and directs without wounding. Relationships and reputation are the pathways along which wisdom travels from life to life. Trust networks multiply possibility without noise. Measured speech preserves that trust when pressure mounts. Together they create a corridor where prosperity can move freely, where deals feel human, where names carry warmth, where the work of years is not undone by a careless sentence. As these patterns deepen, the journey toward abundance stops feeling like a struggle against the world and starts feeling like a collaboration with it. The next pillar will speak of stewardship and risk and the generosity that keeps the heart ready for more. But it is this human architecture that gives wealth a neighborhood to live in. There is a calm that enters the room when a person understands that life carries uncertainty and yet chooses order over impulse. The body senses it first, A steadier breath, a slower heart, a feeling of space around the decision. Wisdom invites a way of living that honors both potential and peril, that counts the cost without surrendering to fear. In this way, wealth is not a roll of the dice. It is a crafted vessel built plank by plank, tested in shallow waters before it meets the open sea. You begin to see money not as a thrill to be chased, but as grain to be stored, as seed to be planted across different fields, so that one harsh season cannot starve the future you have been quietly building. Respect for risk is not dread, it is design. It pays attention to what can break and chooses to share the weight across many supports. One stream may slow, while another gains strength, and the whole remains steady. The nervous system responds with relief when you live this way, because you are no longer gambling your sense of safety on a single outcome. Your mind can think long, because today is not holding tomorrow by the throat. With that length of view, decisions become clearer. You choose what compounds, what teaches, what holds value when the mood of the crowd turns. The harvest that follows may arrive without fireworks, yet it endures, and endurance is its own quiet celebration. There is also a moral dimension to this posture that the heart recognizes. Recklessness with resources often hides a recklessness with relationships, while stewardship protects both. When you prepare in the years of plenty, you become a presence that can be trusted in the years of want. People remember who had oil in their lamp when the night stretched longer than expected. Your reputation takes on a weight that spreadsheets alone cannot measure, and opportunities travel toward the person who has proven that careful hands can carry them without waste. You give strategically. There is a mystery at the center of generosity, a paradox that sounds like poetry and behaves like mathematics. The open hand does not end empty for long. Something in the fabric of life responds to a heart that releases with intention. The body feels the truth of it. A warm loosening in the chest, a lightness that follows the gift like a shadow. This is not a performance and not a bargain. It is the recognition that money is healthiest when it flows, that abundance is safest when it serves, that the soul is strongest when it remembers that it is more than what it owns. Strategic giving is clarity with compassion. It listens for alignment. It studies real needs. It prefers impact over applause. The mind that plans for generosity gains the same benefits as the mind that plans for growth. Fewer frictions, better outcomes, richer stories. Over time, this practice shapes identity. You become the kind of person who can be trusted with more because you no longer hoard from fear. You hold resources with open fingers, and open fingers can carry a larger share without cramping. The community around you notices. Doors that were heavy begin to lift. Invitations find their way to your table, not because you demanded them, but because you have become a safe custodian of blessing. Something else happens when giving becomes a rhythm rather than a rare event. The heart grows wider, the mind grows sharper. You start to recognize opportunities that multiply goodness in several directions at once. Opportunities that strengthen families, dignify work, and seed future harvests that you may never personally gather. This is wealth as legacy rather than display, wealth as a river rather than a pond. The more it moves through you, the clearer it becomes that prosperity is not only measured by what you keep, but by what your life makes possible for others. Stewardship and risk and generosity complete the circle that the earlier pillars began. Integrity gave you solid ground. Patience protected your seed. Diligence and attention built your engines. Wisdom and counsel set your bearings. Relationships and words opened human pathways, and now a careful heart with open hands gives your prosperity a purpose that outlives the moment. The result is a life that can hold abundance without anxiety, a name that welcomes opportunity without grasping, a future that feels spacious and humane. In such a house, wealth does not shout. It moves with quiet authority. It serves without strain, and it stays. At first light, a traveler reached the edge of a walled city. 2 gates stood before him. One was wide and loud, polished with the touch of many hands. bright with promises that rose like sparks and died like smoke. The other was narrow and quiet, set beside a small vineyard where an old gardener moved among the vines with an ease that made time itself seem unhurried. The traveler's feet ached. His purse was thin. His heart carried the restless beat of a life that kept starting over. The wide gate called to that restlessness. The narrow gate met it with silence. He paused by the vineyard. The old man lifted his head and nodded in welcome. Rows of vines stretched in disciplined lines, each one tethered to a simple trellis, each one holding its shape against the wind. There was nothing dramatic to see, only signs of patient labor, tied branches, trimmed leaves, soil that had been turned and turned again, until it held the right kind of softness. The traveler felt the noise inside him settle a little, as if the quiet between leaves could enter his chest and make a home there. He remembered what the loud places had taught him. Shout now and collect later. Spend now and explain later. Promise now and produce later. The lessons had left him tired and thin. He studied the wide gate and saw a river of faces, eager and hurried, all moving as if chased. He studied the narrow gate and saw no crowd at all, only a path that disappeared into a valley where the light looked slower and more honest. He asked the gardener which gate led to the life that does not vanish with the change of weather. The old man set down his knife and looked at the vines as if they might answer first. He spoke in a tone that sounded like shade on a hot day. The wide gate is quick to applaud and slow to keep you. The narrow gate is slow to applaud and quick to keep you. Choose the one that builds roots before it shows fruit. Choose the one that can carry a dry year without breaking. The traveler walked through the narrow gate. The first season tasted like humility. The work was small and constant. He learned the weight of water at dawn, the difference between a living shoot and a greedy one, the way a single straight row could teach the hand to be honest. Neighbors laughed kindly. They called him patient as if it were a flaw. He felt the old reflex return at times, the wish for noise and sudden proof, yet the vineyard answered with rhythm and with a deeper kind of proof that grows too slowly to impress the hurried eye. The second season required pruning. He cut back what looked like success to make room for strength. It hurt to see green fall to the ground, but the vines responded with a calmer power. Their energy no longer ran in every direction. It gathered, it thickened. The traveler felt the same change in himself. His days stopped leaking at the edges. His words grew fewer and kinder. His decisions began to hold. The third season brought weight. Clusters formed where the knife had once cut. He built presses that did not groan when the work grew heavy. He kept record with a clear head. He paid what was owed before counting what remained. He set aside jars without touching them, because some things need time to become themselves. In a far corner of his mind, the wide gate still whispered, but the whisper sounded thin next to the full quiet of a harvest that had been earned one careful day at a time. When a harsh year came, the city behind the wide gate began to scatter. Quick fortunes slipped through hurried fingers. Loud boasts turned into softer regrets. The traveler's vineyard bent, but did not break. The roots held. The storehouse opened. Workers found wages. Tables that would have been empty found bread and wine. People asked where the abundance had been hiding, and he answered without pride. It was never hiding. It was growing. It was growing in the seasons when nothing seemed to change. At the end of that year, the traveler returned to the gates. The wide one was still bright. The narrow one was still plain. He understood then why the plainness mattered. A quiet gate teaches a person to listen. A quiet gate filters out those who only want applause. A quiet gate helps a soul remember that lasting fruit is born from honest roots. He touched the wood the way he once touched the first vine he ever tied, and felt the same steadiness move through his hands. The parable is simple. There are two ways to seek prosperity. One makes a promise with its voice and forgets with its hands. The other makes a promise with its hands and lets time give it a voice. The first is spectacle and the second is sequence. The first builds towers that sway with every wind. The second builds a house with foundations that do not bargain with storms. When the world grows loud again, remember the vineyard that grew in silence and fed a city when the noise ran out. There is a quiet page that lives near the hand, a simple place where each day leaves a single mark. It holds the truth about promises kept when no one was watching. A check becomes a breath, a blank becomes a question. Over time, the page turns into a mirror that does not flatter and does not shame. It simply shows patterns. The body trusts this kind of witness. Shoulders lower when the marks grow steady. Sleep deepens when tomorrow does not have to clean what today refused to face. A life that honors small vows begins to sound different inside the chest, less static, more music. The pause that protects dignity. Between wanting and taking, there is a space that feels like a doorway. On one side is the rush that burns fast and fades faster. On the other side is the kind of choosing that leaves a person taller in their own story. When the pause is honored, desire settles into discernment. The bright shine weakens a little, and the deeper value brightens. The nervous system recognizes the shift. Pulse slows. Breath lengthens. The choice that remains after the heat cools often serves the future better than the thrill that shouted at the start. Dignity grows in that space, and dignity is a kind of wealth, the window of deep work. A day carries a window when the mind can enter water that is still and clear. In that window, noise thins and attention becomes a tool with an edge. The room does not need to be perfect. It needs to be honest. One table, one task, one stretch of time guarded the way a gardener guards tender shoots from careless feet. The brain rewards such stewardship. Ideas line up instead of colliding. Effort turns into flow. The tally of finished work begins to tell a new story about who you are becoming when no one is watching. And that story invites resources to find you. The audit of focus. A week becomes wiser when it remembers what fed it and what drained it. The mind can name a few things worth keeping and a few things worth releasing, then welcome one small practice that makes next week lighter. This is a gentle sorting, not a harsh judgment. The soul prefers it that way. The result is a quieter phone, a cleaner desk, a calendar with more light between the lines. With less scramble, the body leaves alertness and returns to calm readiness. Wealth likes to visit houses that feel like this. Houses where attention is not wasted and energy returns to the work that matters. The circle of counsel. There are voices that steady a person without raising their own. Their presence turns urgency into clarity and turns confusion into options. When decisions touch meaning or carry weight, these few are invited to see the shape of the choice. They listen long. They ask simple questions that remove fog. Pride softens in such company, and humility finds its spine. The name you carry is protected by their sight, and the path ahead becomes a road rather than a cliff. Safety lives here, not the safety of avoidance, but the safety of wisdom, the tithe of learning. Some set aside a portion of increase for tools of the mind, books that sharpen judgment, lessons that upgrade craft, systems that save hours and reduce friction. This portion acts like good soil. It multiplies what is planted in it. The prefrontal regions wake with gratitude when they are fed in this way. Plans grow clearer. Execution grows cleaner. A person becomes faster without hurrying and more exact without hardening. Money notices competence and prefers to rest where skill is rising. The touch of value. Across the week, there are moments when a name can carry weight for another. A brief note of gratitude. An introduction that shortens a long road. A resource shared without calculation. These touches are not transactions. They are signs that you see the orchard and not only the fruit in your own basket. The return is often invisible at first. Then a door opens somewhere you did not knock. A problem arrives already softened by kindness you forgot you gave. Networks deepen by roots rather than height, and the roots hold when weather changes. The quiet review of speech. At day's end, the mouth remembers where it healed and where it harmed. A sentence that built trust. A pause that prevented heat. A correction offered with respect. This brief remembering keeps the tongue honest without turning the heart against itself. Rooms begin to associate your voice with clarity. Meetings end with decisions instead of delays. Agreements feel clean. Each small repair adds strength to the bridge your name has become. The map of risk. A life that lasts keeps a simple sketch of its supports. Some resources form a core that rarely moves. Some pursue growth with conviction that has been tested. Some remain small experiments that teach without threatening the whole. A reserve stands in the corner like a quiet friend who never leaves the room. The sketch is not complicated. It is faithful. In lean seasons, the house bends and does not break. In full seasons, the house expands without creaking. People sense the steadiness and trust it with responsibilities that carry weight. The river of generosity. There is a flow that proves abundance is alive. It moves from the hand to places where it becomes help and hope, and then it returns in forms no ledger can predict. Hearts widen in that flow. Minds sharpen to notice where a gift would multiply goodness. Work feels larger than self, and yet more personal than ever. Legacy begins to take shape, not as a monument, but as a pattern of blessing that outlives the giver. This is prosperity that breathes. Daily practice is the quiet machinery behind visible success. Pages that tell the truth, pauses that protect dignity, windows that invite depth, audits that honor focus, circles that steady judgment, portions that feed skill, touches that carry value, reviews that preserve trust, maps that protect the whole, rivers that keep the heart open. When these rhythms take root, life stops borrowing strength from tomorrow and begins to build it. The path ahead becomes wide enough for generosity and strong enough for growth, a path where wealth arrives as a guest who decides to stay. There is a moment after the learning and the lists when the room grows quiet and the body finally registers what the mind has heard. Breath deepens, thoughts unspool. The heart feels a little braver, not because life has become easy, but because shape has returned to what once felt formless. You can sense it now, the difference between spectacle and sequence, the way wisdom arranges a life so that prosperity is not a guest who rushes in and out, but a resident who helps carry the furniture, the shape of a name. Across these chapters, a single thread kept appearing like gold woven through cloth. Integrity as foundation, patience as guardrail, diligence as engine, counsel as compass, relationships as pathways, stewardship as architecture, generosity as the open window that lets the house breathe. All of this gathers into a name that others can lean on without fear. That name travels ahead of you and returns with good reports. That name is what money trusts when the weather changes, the body that remembers. Wisdom does not live only in ideas. It lives in the nervous system that no longer flinches at every siren, in attention that no longer shatters at every ping, in hands that move with a steadiness learned from a vineyard that grew in silence. The more you rehearse these patterns, the kinder your biology becomes. Focus returns without a fight. Rest feels earned rather than stolen. Decisions lose their teeth. There is a quiet strength in moving like this. A strength that others feel when they enter your orbit and realize there is less static and more signal here. The garden you already planted. Perhaps the most tender truth is the one that says you are not starting from nothing. Seeds have already been sown, a promise kept when no one was watching, a pause that protected your dignity, a morning of deep work that no one applauded, a hard conversation navigated with measured speech, a careful plan that protected tomorrow from today. These are early roots. They may be small, but they are honest. And honest roots know how to become branches when the season turns. The gift of a narrow gate. You have seen the two gates. One offers applause without endurance. One offers endurance without applause. The narrow way has given you back your time, your breath, your ability to hear the whisper beneath the crowd. It taught you that wealth is not a single event, but a series of aligned choices that make a person trustworthy. It taught you that little by little is not a consolation. It is a covenant between effort and time. The river and the house. There is a house that can hold abundance without creaking. There is a river that can carry generosity without running dry. Together they form a life that works when the market is bright and when the clouds gather. In such a life, the old phrases become true in the bones. Wisdom before wealth, roots before fruit, Sequence before spectacle. The world will always try to sell you speed. You have learned to prefer strength. The world will always try to sell you noise. You have learned to prefer music. The question that opens tomorrow. When the day closes and the room grows still, what is the single truth from these 10 signs that your life is already whispering? And how will that truth quietly reshape the way you move through the next dawn?